We got a clip from Glenn Beck for you guys that, I got to break down in 18 different ways. He's going to go after Van Jones and just about who's now the new green job czar for Barack Obama. And he's going to go after about every Democratic special interest group in the country, which is unsurprising. He's going to connect them all to Obama, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many things wrong with this clip. But the reason I give you this intro is we've already cut out 3 minutes of it because it was so painful to look at. He's got all these stupid charts that don't make any sense. And he's already called Van Jones a communist at least 3 or 4 times and a black nationalist twice. Now, he's going to do it again. I just want to give you a sense of how many times he's done it. Now, we're going to watch him talk to Phil Kerpen, who's with Americans for Prosperity. First, he's going to do the charts, then talk to Phil. Let's watch.
John Podesta, Van Jones, who is now his green job czar, an avowed communist. We've got the SEIU, who's in his office once a week talking about labor. They're the ones that were negotiating with all of the healthcare industry. He's in Obama's office all the time. Wade Rafke, former founder of Acorn. It all ties to the Tide Center, but who's really at the top of all of this? Who's the one that's trying to stay away from all of it and saying, I have nothing to do with it? Obama. But if you look at what Apollo, social, see if these sound familiar, like maybe, I don't know, the way we're going to transform America. Social justice, the Green Movement, and labor unions. Maybe it's just me, Phil. Can you talk me out of the crazy tree here and saying this is exactly what Barack Obama stands for, and these are his soldiers?
Well, look, there are a lot of connections here that make it look like that's certainly the case. Of course, we've got John Holdren, the science czar, who's also tied up with a lot of these folks. We've got Jason Grummett, who was the chief advisor for energy on the Obama campaign, who's also on the board of John Holdren's group, the National Energy Commission, which is also tied in with these folks. I think that if you look at Obama's past, he was an organizer for Acorn. He was actually their chief national trainer. You look at all of the organizations that are actually doing the footwork to push through all the elements of the Obama agenda, and it's pretty clear that he's part and parcel of these radical movements. He really can't separate himself from them, in my view.
I don't know how you can put self-acclaimed communist as a czar and claim that you're not part of that. I don't know how you can surround yourself with radicals and say that you have nothing to do with that. This man is a radical. Please talk me out of the crazy tree, America.
Way too late to talk you out of that crazy tree. Okay, I mean, you're living in it, brother. So he mentions all these special interest groups. How does he prove that they're crazy? Because are they real? Are they real special interest groups like the labor union, etc.? Yes, they are. Now, what does that prove? And then there's a special interest group on the right, and I can give you a chart later. I go, you see that? Americans for Tax Reform. Okay, that's great, but you got to give me something after that. But that's what Fox does all the time. They call them radical. He called them black nationalists a couple of times. An avowed communist. Yeah, Van Jones brought the hammer and sickle to the green jobs position. You know what Van Jones does right now inside the administration? He tries to create jobs for this capitalist economy. Okay, that's what he does. There ain't no communism involved in what he does. But they just throw out name after name after name. And they, like for them, mentioning the name Acorn is proof enough. They're like, and Obama is associated with, get this, wait for it, Acorn. And, okay, what does it prove? Like, for example, when we break down, we did it earlier today, we break down, funny enough, what that guest, or the group that guest was from, Americans for Prosperity. The minute I saw that title, I was like, oh yeah, Americans for Prosperity. I'm sure a lot of Americans, grassroots, got together and they're like, are you for prosperity? So am I. Let's open up a think tank in Washington. Right, that's how it went, okay? No, now you see, if I just said that, it's not good enough. But we know what they did. We explained it earlier in the show. What they do is they put together a bunch of people and they bust them all over the country to disrupt Democratic town halls for Democratic representatives and senators. Saying America's for prosperity is not good enough. You got to tell me what they did. And then there's the other group, Freedom Works, that we got the memo. They say you stand up and shout and yell and make sure you disrupt these town halls. See, without the facts, without the memos, and without finding out what they do, just saying SEIU. Another one of the ones that Glenn Beck mentioned in the actually 4 or 5 minutes that we cut out because it was so damn boring, was, and then look at this, black farmers. I'm like, how is that nefarious? I mean, seriously, black farmers? That's what we have to, and he just mentions it like, you know what I'm talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know what's wrong with black farmers. Okay, so, and then the one thing that he mentions over and over again is radicals. They're radicals. And what's the whole point of all of this? Okay, why is the guy from Americans for Prosperity on, which is funded by the lobbyists and the healthcare industry? Because they want to kill healthcare reform, and they want to kill healthcare reform and all the other Obama initiatives by trying to present the other side as radicals. And the reality here is the fight is between the people who actually, of course, need healthcare reform. Now, you can, of course, argue as to what kind of reform you need, and the people in power who don't want that reform at all. They don't want any piece of it. You know what they did back in 93, 94? The first thing they did was they declared, we really want healthcare reform. We're going to work with the government and the Clinton administration to do that. And then they threw everything they had at it to kill it. And that's exactly what they're doing now.